Namaskar, hello and welcome to this very special congregation. We are calling it as the Creative Resistance Forum. आज 7 मई है और 7th May is a very epochal day in India's history, especially the India's independence movement. और ये वह दिन है जबकि वर्ष 1893 में एक युवा बैरिस्टर बहुत सारी आकांक्षाओं और अभिलाषाओं को लेकर बहुत महंगे क्लाइंट्स की पैरवी करने के लिए फर्स्ट क्लास के कंपार्टमेंट में दक्षिण अफ्रीका में जा रहे होते हैं। और रात के सन्नाटे में, क्योंकि वो काले थे, अश्वेत थे, तो उनको फर्स्ट क्लास कंपार्टमेंट से टीटी द्वारा धकेल कर बाहर निकाल दिया जाता है। और उस स्थान का नाम होता है पीटर मैरिट्सबर्ग। तो आप जैसा कि मेरे पीछे की स्क्रीन पर देख पा रहे हैं कि पीटर मैरिट्सबर्ग साउथ अफ्रीका का एक छोटा सा स्टेशन है जहां पर ये प्लैक लगा हुआ है कि 7 जून 1893 की रात्रि को मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी, बैरिस्टर मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी को फर्स्ट क्लास कंपार्टमेंट से धक्के मारकर, बेइज्जती करके, उनके पास टिकट थी, उनके पास यात्रा करने का पूर्ण अधिकार था, पर उस समय जैसा कि हम चाहते हैं कि ये जो गोरों का शासन चलता है, द स्नॉबरी ऑफ द वाइट सुप्रीमेसिस, ब्रिटिश का उस समय राज चलता था 1893 में। तो वहां के एक अंग्रेज टीटी ने उनको धक्के मारकर निकाल दिया। अब अगर कोई और होता तो गिरकर झाड़ पहुंच के रो बिलख के किसी को बताता नहीं, और अपनी जो कि आज हम, जो कि हमारे देश में है कि हम स्वीकार कर लेते हैं, टॉलरेट कर लेते हैं, और चुप चुपानी अपनी औकात के एक कंपार्टमेंट में अगली टिकट लेकर अपनी जिंदगी प्राप्त कर लेते, चाहे जैसा उत्पीड़न हो रहा है तो हमें क्या, हमारा घर चलना चाहिए। ना ही इस यंग बैरिस्टर ने दूसरा रास्ता अख्तियार किया कि कोई बंदूक उठा ली या किसी प्रकार का बवाल मचाया, पर उसने एक ऐसा तरीका अपनाया जो कि विश्व में आज भी, उस व्यक्ति के जाने के बाद, भारतीय स्वाधीनता संग्राम के तिरोभाव के पश्चात आज 75 वर्ष के बाद भी विश्व में इस व्यक्ति का एक नाम माना जाता है। उसने सनातनी भारतीय परंपरा के अधिष्ठान पर एक आंदोलन खड़ा कर दिया और उसको कहा सत्याग्रह। मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी ने अपने उस समय पर एक ऐसा अस्त्र निकाला जिसको पैसिव रेजिस्टेंस के रूप में पीपल एंड स्कॉलर्स गॉट टू नो अबाउट इट। बैरिस्टर थे, लंदन से पढ़े हुए थे, तो आतताइयों और आक्रांताओं की ही गर्भगृह से जो व्यक्ति शिक्षित हुआ, उस व्यक्ति ने उसी शिक्षा को एक अस्त्र के रूप में प्रयोग किया, एंड ही काइंड ऑफ क्रिएटेड अ काइंड ऑफ अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल रेजिस्टेंस, a passive resistance at that point in time when colonialism was at its peak. This man saw, he returned back to India just at the dawn of the First World War. He oversaw the Second World War, and he led the India's freedom movement with a lot of grit and fortitude, with a lot of resilience, whatsoever we call it, his contributions today. But the greatness of this man, he knew that this was a disarmed nation. यहाँ 1857 में ही अंग्रेजों ने भारतीयों के जो शस्त्र हैं वह निकाल चुके थे, एंड वी आर नॉट जस्ट अ वेरी कोहेसिव कंट्री लाइक आयरिश पीपल, कि हम अगर रेवोल्यूशनरीज बन जाएं, हम अगर वॉर ले लें, तो द ब्रिटिश, देयर मिलिट्री पावर वाज सो हाई that they would have crumbled it like anything. He saw it at Chauri Chaura when a provoked bheed crowd, it burned down the police station. He withdrew his non-cooperation movement for the beauty and benefit of the larger movement per se, because he knew well, he was a well-read man, the kind of persecution, the kind of violence which a colonial state power can wreak, it is unparalleled. And 1857, we all saw that after the broke of the mutiny, the way Britishers, they crumbled the aspirations of the Indian freedom movement. So he did that passive resistance, very innovative constructs at that point in time, non-violent, non-cooperation, civil disobedience. We might make a mockery out of it, but that is what, when a person is at the helm of power, he has to lead just from his sole force, nothing else and nothing more. Perhaps we see this kind of a grit and fortitude in our current Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, as well. He has been swallowing his pride for the longer, I would say, benefit, and a kind of a new imperialism is looming large on the Indian horizon. We all saw the kind of interference which the new imperialist in United States of America, they are imposing upon a sovereign democratic republic like ours. The kind of intervening in our own affairs, we saw it in the Operation Sindoor as well. So somewhere or the other, there is a larger game for nation states to evolve. Nation states to actually, they have to face a lot of challenges from these enemy powers who look like friends, but they have inimical interest. They want to subdue us. They want to curb our liberties just on a pretext out there. The kind of wars which we are seeing on the global forefronts. So perhaps that kind of a grid, that kind of a restraint, that is what is required in a leader who is leading 1.5 billion. I would say humanity, the ocean of humanity, which is still 90 crore of ours are still dependent on the doles of the government rations. An aspirational country, we have the potential, but until or unless, and we are such a diverse civilization, we have so much of fissures because of this diversity, and our fissures are deepened by the inimical forces here, there, everywhere. They want to have their own moolah, their pound of flesh out of our own constraints and challenges and whatever. So today, 7th of May, we at Rethink India Institute, we commemorated it as the Pietermaritzburg Eviction Day. कि जीवन में अगर हमारे साथ कभी भी कोई अन्याय और अनीति भी हो जाती है, तो हमारा रिस्पॉन्स क्या हो? क्या हम चुपचाप बैठ जाएं, अपना शर्ट वगैरह झाड़ कर, चलो अब जो हो गया सो हो गया, स्वीकार कर लें, और अपनी एक जो दास्ता या गुलामी का भाव है उसको स्वीकार करके अपना वैयक्तिक जीवन प्राप्त कर ले? मोहनदास करमचंद गांधी के पास उस वैयक्तिक जीवन का कोई सुख सुविधाओं की कोई कमी नहीं थी। और या फिर हम बहुत ही ज्यादा आक्रांत होकर कुछ ऐसा कर लें कि अपना ही नाश कर लें। और एक कहीं ना कहीं एक मध्य मार्ग है कि हम उठें और विद द फुल फोर्स ऑफ अवर संस्कारास, विद द फुल सोल फोर्स, yeah, it is 7th June. We are saying it's not 7th May. 7th of June, we are standing out here. So, with this soul force, we erect a kind of resistance against oppression, against any anomaly, against any wrongness which has been done to us, which we feel in the spirit of natural justice. So we at Rethink India feel that in today's constitutional democracies, when India, at least, it is guided by one of the lengthiest, bulkiest, it's a kind of an assimilation of so many constitutional values across the country. We are a constitutional republic. So we all saw kind of an agitation of a young, kind of a satirical political movement yesterday at New Delhi. A kind of a reactive force. Yes, a lot of wrong has happened. The leak of the NEET paper is really very, very unfortunate. It just cannot be accepted at any cost. The kind of technical glitches and the kind of various challenges which went into the CBSE OSM, again, it is an unforgivable thing. But now what to do? Something wrong has happened to the fate of lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of students. Their hopes, their aspirations have all been crumbled down. And it is very unfortunate that some of the youngsters, like bridling with energy, with life force, they chose to end up their very lives at this challenge, because life is full of VUCA, friends. It is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And Central Board of Secondary Education, interestingly, it came out with a circular just in February 2026 that mental health, the wellness part of it all has to be brought in a kind of a curriculum, kind of a capacity building programs have to be brought in over there. That is one side of the story, where the powers, where the system, where the structures are actually trying to give the coping mechanisms to all of us. That is one side of the story. But the other side is either we just succumb, we give up, we lament, we end up our lives like some of our friends have unfortunately retorted to that kind of a extreme measure, or we become a kind of a Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Pietermaritzburg Creative Resistance Fellows. Friends, in constitutional democracies, a lot of platforms, a lot of instruments, Gandhi ji evolved his own satyagraha, ahimsa. He said, Savine Avagya Andolan. We will disagree with you. He, in fact, delegitimized one of his biggest contributions, that he delegitimized using his legal acumen, legal knowledge, and the sanskaras he got from his mother, the kind of upbringing he had from Sanatan Bharat. He brought कि सत्य क्या है, because the laws were to be repealed, which were against the human dignity. For that matter, we have the checkered history of our independence movement, and one man who stood all through, since he took the baton of it all in 1914 till 1948, when his unfortunate assassination was conducted. So we feel that in today's constitutional democracy, where we have elected governments out there who are accountable to the constitution and eventually to the will of the people. But the will of the people has to be encapsulated in the larger constitutional, we call it as a civilizational, a dharmic framework, which also accrues from the spirit of Ram Rajya. You can see the kind of a long drawn struggle which we Indians brought about in restoring and resuscitating our own civilizational icon in Sri Rama Janmabhoomi at Ayodhya, and the kind of sacrifices over 5 centuries, over a little less than 500 years, and we could erect it all. So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, also from the ramparts of Red Fort, in his speech last year, he mentioned that the youngsters have to come forward. And if a country which is as young as 75 plus years, America would be, the United States of America would be celebrating its 250 years of independence. 1776, 4th of July. 4th of July was their Independence Day. And this is their 251st Independence Day. They would be celebrating in a little while now. So, a lot of struggle we the people have to do. The various systems, the various processes, the various laws, the various regulations, they all still have a huge colonial imprint, because the colonial laws were done to rule us, to govern us, to subdue us, to so that the rulers can extract the moolah for their own nations. So it is not humanly possible that a small constituent assembly of very aging people who were tired of the long drawn freedom movement, they curated a very fine structure. But that superstructure, that spirit, the letter of constitution has to be further evolved. And Gandhiji used to say that it is constitutional Ramarajya, which we have to further. The spirit is out there in our directive principles of state policy. The framers of the constitutions gave directives to those who are ruling out there, that you have to work in this larger spirit of Ramarajya. There were fundamental rights which are protected so very well by our constitutional courts. And it is at times people mock कि हम लोग ईरान की तरह क्रेन पर लटका क्यों नहीं देते. Because we are not Asuric civilizations. We are dharmic civilizations, where even the heinous crime has to be tried, and justice has to be seen out there. Our process is slow, but then that is where Sanatan Bharat, the spirit of eternity, comes into place. That the soul is eternal. We just don't have to lose hope. For the young friends who ended their life, and through this forum, I would really like to appeal to that if you are really wanting to become a doctor, it's a life and death question every passing day. Now you have to handle so much of complex cases, even in your 5 years of medical program. So much of ups and downs would come. Does it mean that you would end your life by that? So somewhere or the other, that baseline mental health, the baseline resilience, and that resilience comes from some of the intellectual, some of the philosophical frameworks, the sanskaras, the civilizational values of our country, of our civilization for that matter. And somewhere there is a deficit in our contemporary, the textbooks are fine, but somewhere or the other, the larger socio-economic system, somewhere we are not able to impregnate that ray of hope, that liveliness, that sportsman spirit कि भाई क्या हुआ, we'll try it out again. And somewhere we feel at Rethink India, apart from the mental health, apart from the resilience, that we also need constructive platforms to voice out our concerns, our anger, our anguish. Because until and unless that energy is channelized and we can accentuate change, I think youngsters are rebellions by nature. So that is where creative resistance comes into play. That do we have solutions? Are we just lamenting, criticizing? We are becoming talking toms, or we are becoming doing Davids? Better, I would say, doing Deepaks, not talking Taruns. I'm just using that Indic phrase for that matter. So, what we are proposing as a part of this fellowship of becoming a Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi Pietermaritzburg Creative Resistance Fellows is stand up. If you're seeing anything wrong and if you have a resolution towards it, because uh, criticizing is one thing. We can say something is wrong from a vantage point, from something we feel that some wrong has been done. Now, making that wrong right, doing dharna pradarsan, blocking the roads, I think those are the instruments of the past. Those are the instruments when we were ruled by the colonial forces. And today we have a democratic republic, and we have 4,000 plus public representatives serving us from legislative constituencies to the Lok Sabha constituencies. And there is a proposal to heighten it further. 800 plus will be the members of parliament sooner than later. So, with this kind of public representatives in the fray, a kind of a elaborate bureaucratic framework led by very brainy cerebral public servants, I think we have to learn the art and craft of creative resistance, solution centric, I would say, agitation, using the platforms and instruments which have been provided by our very constitution. And the more we use them, the more we refine them. That's a kind of a self reinforcement mechanism which goes on. And today we will just like to introduce you. This is just the orientation session, and the program we will be inviting a lot of youngsters who have a kind of a desire कि भाई ये गलत क्यों हो रहा है, who are criticizing, nitpicking. It is good. But that criticism, that nitpicking has to be channelized into constructive transformation. And friends, I tell you from my personal experience, transformation does come. We have to be patient a bit. We have to be really patient. It's a country of 1.5 billion people, so we can say at least 1.5 billion problems. But then, if we put our brain, if we put our minds together, and we really suggest solutions to those who are sitting on the other side of the table, who are at least in letter, they are trying to serve us. They are trying to serve the public interest. That is what, at least on the paper, the doctrine comes. It is no longer that the officers are serving the queen or serving the imperial interest. Eventually, as far as their oath is concerned, as far as the constitutional structure goes, every public servant has to serve we the people. The only thing is we have to be resolute and patient, and we have to be kind of accommodating also, because no win comes in toto. Find something here, something there, a kind of a negotiation has to go over and over and over again. So I would like to introduce you to some of the constitutional platforms which are available. The most powerful of it all is the CP gram, Central Public Grievance System. It is run by none other than Department of Administrative Reforms, Government of India. So PG portal, as we all know about it, you can log in over there, create your own login. And all the Government of India departments and even many of the state governments are mapped to the CP grams portal. So at the operational level, challenges, पानी नहीं आ रहा, बिजली की problem है, गड्ढे हैं सड़क में, some wrong has been done by any public servant for that matter. It is quite an expedient tool to report, to create evidence. It's a fantastic platform, and very dynamic civil servants, public servants, they have really put up their brains into it. And we feel from our larger heuristics that at each one of our levels, if there is any operational, any declared kind of a challenge, I think CP grams is quite powerful to work upon. So put things into the system. CP grams has a challenge that it doesn't take suggestions into play. And over years, obviously, the kind of load which has come onto the system, uh, it is uh, it is not even able to uh, purely operational से एक level थोड़ा सा ऊपर ही the officers who are concerned, they are not able to put their applied minds, any non-linear kind of a challenge, any policy fault line, they just are not able to cater to. But at least at our level, I think 90% plus challenges would be solved. At least they hear it. At least you create the primary evidence, a primary documentation of it all. So that is where CP grams come into play. And कहते हैं फसाद बनाना हमारा मकसद नहीं है, नहीं होना चाहिए. अगर हमारा मकसद है कि ये जो व्यवस्था है, जो सामूहिक सिस्टम है, इसके धागे नहीं निकालें, कहीं कहीं कोई त्रुटि है, तो उसको हम पॉइंट आउट करेंगे, तो सिस्टम would act and would repair it across. Our approach should be to keep this republic cohesive, strong, and it marches forward. Processes might have fault lines. I think we can point it out through the instrument of CP grams. Then we want to really give you hope that the Constitution has created very strong agencies for reporting challenges of graft, like there is a Central Vigilance Commission. The efficacy of it has got reduced over the years because the government of the day says that, oh, sab changasi. But still, there is a platform called CVC, and if there is a larger level corruption and people are nabbing it, people are really capturing it, they have got a informal tip line also. So we should know that there is a platform called CVC. At least they have to hear it across. There might be political pressures, bureaucratic pressures, because people want to serve and save their own from any wrongdoing. But CVC is the elitist commission for that matter, which looks into allegations of graft, of wrongdoing. It can be approached upon, it can be reported upon for any of the corruption mechanisms what we witness out there. But I think CP grams is the predominant and primary stuff. Then there is obviously the Supreme Auditor of India, the CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. And they are quite an elaborate institution, and they are the ones who audited the processes, the compliances, the revenue generation of the government. So if you see any structural challenge somewhere, a kind of a foreclosure of revenue for the government agencies for that matter, CAG can be approached upon. They have got elaborate auditors, and they are truly the spine of the country, and that's where creative resistance can be taken over there. We have to trust in a system, even if it is corrupt. If there are aberrations, we cannot just lose hope in that. It's a kind of a constant feed loop mechanism. Democracy does not stop by merely casting the votes at the hustings. It's a constant negotiation of the citizenry and its elected representatives and the public servants out there. So this is civics 101 in action. Then obviously the instrument of right to information. It is also a powerful tool to do research, to really bring about a kind of a it needs to be extended, it needs to be expanded. Right to innovation, a lot of suggestions. There is no such platform. MyGov is one of the platforms, but then it is again a citizen engagement platform. It doesn't help you redress your grievances, but I think a very smart play of this is something which we'll be attempting from this creative resistance forum, how to play between a CP grams and a right to information, a kind of a CVC complaint or a kind of a CAG. एक और हम बात कहना चाहेंगे कि हिंदुस्तानी सभ्यता में ये बात कही जाती है, तू चुगलखोर है, शिकायती टट्टू है. I think this kind of a notion should not be out there. In technological parlances, there is a kind of a constant exchange of signals, constant exchange of feedback mechanisms. So I think the government as a system and the citizenry on the other side of it, because government is meant to serve the citizenry. So we really can bring about some very fine use cases where we feel that the policy or the current regulation has fault lines, has gap areas. In good faith, I think system would self-manage it across. So this is at the central level, the topmost level we called it about. The extreme measure we said that the constitutional courts are there, but then constitutional courts are at the final point where nothing works and the grievance is too much, and especially on the affront of fundamental rights guaranteed to us by the constitution. That is where constitutional courts come into play. But at the first line, every state has got beautiful CM helplines, because we know that India is a federal country. We have the central subjects, we have the state subjects, and then we have the concurrent list. So a lot of dynamic young political leaders working, who are working as the chief ministers, they have created a kind of very proactive cells under their direct command, whereby you can use this CM helplines, which are monitored directly by the CM offices, and report your grievances. गड्ढा है कहीं पे, कहीं सड़क टूटी हुई है, पानी नहीं आ रहा है, बिजली नहीं आ रही है, these essentials of life. आपको वजीफा नहीं मिल रहा है, some public servant is harassing you. So with daring, if you have nothing to hide, if you are not in the wrong, so take that moral Gandhian courage to lodge a complaint. This is your right. This is your constitutional right. This is your statutory right. And in a appealing tone, yes, we can command over because we are the people, but still a kind of a respect can be extended on to these authorities. It will take a lot of time for converting these so-called public servants truly into that spirit of servant leaders. अभी हर कोई यूपीएससी या पीसीएस एग्जाम्स करके दे ऑल फील कि हम लोग तो अब हाकिम बन गए, वी हैव बिकम द वाइसरॉयज ऑफ द कंट्री एंड वी वुड रूल एंड गवर्न एंड वी वुड हैव आवर ओन स्वे. So if the Mahatma Gandhi Peter Maritz Creative Resistance Fellows सविनय अवज्ञा के साथ, सविनय क्रिएटिव रेजिस्टेंस के साथ, we can show to them, sir, you are just a public servant. So you have to work, act in that doctrine of public trust. You cannot be biased. You cannot take a bribe from someone and bias your decision, because that is where the legal argumentation is all about. Friends, we feel that your parents might get concerned, your teachers might, अरे यार क्या किस बवाल में आप लोग डाल रहे, बट वी पर्सनली फील दैट हम सभी के पास ग्रीवांसेज हैं. अगर हम एक सादा कागज आप सभी को दे दें और कहें कि भैया ग्रीवांस लिखो, तो आई थिंक 10, 11, 12 जितनी हमारी उम्र है उतनी ग्रीवांसेज तो हम लिख ही डालेंगे. अगर हम 10 साल के हैं तो 10 ग्रीवांसेस, मम्मा मेरी बात नहीं सुन, इवन फ्रॉम द फैमिली टू द लार्जर. जैसे जैसे हमारी कॉन्शियसनेस बढ़ती है, आई थिंक वी हैव एन अवेयरनेस एंड समवेयर और द अदर. We just saw the case that class 8th textbook of social science, it summarily mentioned that there is a reports of judicial corruption in the country, and there is so much of backlog. So the Supreme Court of India, the CJI, came very heavily. They banned the books. They banned the authors who had just tried to evoke that critical inquiry into the youngsters, saying that अरे 8वीं कक्षा के बच्चे बड़े impressionable हैं. तो a lot of bawal happened all over the country, but somewhere or the other we feel that we are a civilization of नचिकेतास. नचिकेता की कहानी आप लोग ढूंढिएगा, सुनिएगा, आपको पता भी होगी कि he had the daring to even question the god of death. So that is what this country is all about. We have the story of Prahlad, his own father. He was the king of all the 3 universes, but then he said, I am the only one. There is no superpower than me. So Prahlad with his Savinay Vagya Andolan, he faced, these are extreme examples, but then eventually Lord Narsingha came and he delivered justice out there. So somewhere or the other, we are not the body, we are the soul. We are the inheritors of this Sanatani Bharatiya Parampara, which says that this material world, we are here for for a finite period of time, and we are here for a karmic redressal. And that is why with so much of invasions, we have kept our civilizational chiti without fear or without subduing it under any pressure for that matter. And Mahatma Gandhi, I think he is one of that mascots who really inspire us to this day with his resoluteness and with his firmness. And he really created a kind of a passive resistance, a satyagraha he created. Those were other time that he did his Dandi Yatra. He did a lot of penance for that matter, but today it just needs a smartphone. It just needs a CP Grams account. It just needs a CM portal login. And you can really make your voice heard. And friends, it helps you in putting your civics into action. And you will see a lot of magic happening. I tell you, at the topmost level of the political leadership, there is a lot of commitment to transform this country into a Vikasit Rashtra. But केवल नारों से जमीनी रियलिटी नहीं बदलती है। इंडिया इज अ वास्ट कंट्री, 32 लाख स्क्वायर किलोमीटर्स, वी आर 6,000 towns and 6 lakh villages spread across 600 plus districts. तो अगर हम ये सोचें कि ये कलेक्टर बन के बैठ गया है या कप्तान, दे आर देयर फॉर देयर ओन ऑफिशियल मेरी मेकिंग ऑल्सो. सो देर इज अ प्रेशर फ्रॉम टॉप डाउन. बट until or unless we the citizenry pull the ropes down under, I think these functionaries, these public servants who are endowed so very well, and that is why we have said that catapulting change through the proactive exercise of right to constitutional remedies. This is the spirit of it all. Article 32 of the Constitution, it gives that power to every citizen to approach the Supreme Court. And then corollary is Article 226, whereby any citizen aggrieved can reach to the High Court. So under that gamut and spirit, under that dharmic and constitutional principle, I think these platforms, these instruments have been created. Even a letter has to be responded, but then it gets deluged into the huge stockpile. So better is to create a digital trail of your grievance, some technical glitches here and there, and then we write that holding public servants accountable. It's not the politicians who would do the executive work, elaborate bureaucracy with so much of pay and perks and whatnot, powers they have been bestowed upon. But until or unless राजा राम के घंटे की तरह अगर हम उनको घंटा नहीं बजाएंगे, अगर हम अपनी if we will not ring that bell, दुहाई है, and if we will not lodge our grievance, it is nothing wrong in the constitutional scheme of things. If I am aggrieved about something, I have all the right, in a humble fashion, in an aggrieved fashion, to ring to my authorities to work for me, to redress that, because the pressure is there from the top. But until or unless each one of us would not ring the bell using any one of these instruments, in the goodwill, in not in the malicious intent, there is another tribe which wants to pull down the republic, which wants our navik to fail, the Indian GPS system, which wants our indigenous systems like UPI for that matter. 84% of it is under the sway of two foreign corporations. And we have to look at it ki bhai, what is structurally affecting our our sovereign technological platforms, because we have to protect them continuously. We have to see what kind of foreign influences are there on one or the other public servants. We have got some evidences of it. There are talks of making the public service accountable. We cannot have Ambhi Kumars who are welcoming the Alexanders to rule over the length and breadth of the country. We cannot just make them. We should have harmonious foreign relations, but India cannot just become a colony, a new age colony for that matter. Each one of us has to become vigilant about it. So becoming apathetic is simple. अरे छोड़ो यार, हिंदुस्तान में तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता, यहाँ तो ऐसे ही चलेगा, अपना काम बनाओ और निकलो, या अपना रास्ता बनाओ, ब्राइब ड्राइव वट एवर वी डू इट, या फिर हम चुपचाप झेलते रहें, अरे वी वेटिंग फॉर आवर ओन टर्न. बट देन क्रिएटिव रेजिस्टेंस इज ऑल अबाउट टेकिंग अ प्लेज फ्रॉम दैट सोल पावर. वो भारतवर्ष में कहते हैं ना, वी आर नॉट द बॉडी, वी आर द सोल. अन्नमय कोश से आनंदमय कोश तक का एक पूरा ताना बाना हमारी संस्कृति ने हमें कहा है. तो यहाँ भय नहीं है और यहाँ लोभ नहीं है, यहाँ तो धर्म की शाखा है, प्रशाखा है. सो आई थिंक दैट is where Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, he comes into play. The way he revived the spiritual power of Bharat. He might have tweaked one or the other songs, ki Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram, and he might have brought in the minorities, because he knew well the machinations of the colonial imperialists, that they want to create a kind of a wedge between the social cohesion. So there might be a bit of an appeasement, there might be a bit of a big brotherly attitude on his, but we have to overlook that and look at his contribution, that he really presented a very dominant resistance against the imperialistic power. And even Nelson Mandela and big leaders across, they said that Mahatma Gandhi was alone responsible for the crumbling down of the colonial imperialism, which was which was uh, in those times. So if India has to really become a Vikasit Bharat, a Vikasit Rashtra, an Atmanirbhar Rashtra, these are not just slogans. I think we all have to slog, and we have to fix. We also write fixing one fault line at a time. This is again one of the other aspects what creative resistance fellows would be doing. One policy fault line, take it up, try to appeal it, try to bridge that gap, because system has to listen at after a point. And it is so your innovativeness in governance space, uh, lot many solutions we have. So but those solutions, if they have to get into policy framework, I think we all have to become creative resistance fellows. Agitation is fine, but agitation through a solution centric approach. झंडा बुलंद करने से कौन सुनेगा? That noise would never reach to a resolution. हमारी जो एक एक noise हो, एक एक बात हो, एक feeling हो, it should all converge. It should all channelize into creating a insurmountable Bharat. We at Rethink India say that we have to re-engineer India from an incredible India, we are an incredible civilization, into an insurmountable civilization. And to make an insurmountable civilization, each one of us have to really put our brains. हम जिस भी परिवेश में रह रहे हैं, हमें जहां भी कोई आपको एक जैसे सरकारी वाहन कंडम स्टेट में मिलता है, आप फोटो खींचिए, उसका जियो कोऑर्डिनेट अपने व्हाट्सएप से बनाइए, और अपने सीएम पोर्टल पे, सीपी ग्राम्स पे आप लोग जब खेलेंगे, ट्राई टू प्ले इट अराउंड विद दीज सिस्टम्स, बिकॉज दिस इज योर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट, एंड अलर्ट द अथॉरिटीज. वो पहली बार में आपकी बात नहीं मानेंगे, आपकी कंप्लेंट को रफा दफा करने की कोशिश करेंगे, आपको गुर्राने की भाषा में आपको कॉल आएगा. डरिए मत. उनसे कहिए सर, ये भारत सरकार की संपत्ति है, राज्य सरकार की संपत्ति है, ये सड़क को खराब कर रही है, स्वच्छ भारत को खराब कर रही है, इसको आप उठवाइए, इसको कहीं और रखवाइए, कहीं गड्ढा हो रखा है, सड़क जा रही है, आप उस गड्ढे का फोटो लीजिए, आप उस गड्ढे के जियो कोऑर्डिनेट्स रिकॉर्ड कीजिए, उसको रिपोर्ट कीजिए. एंड दीज पब्लिक सर्वेंट्स, जिसको कहते हैं कि इन पब्लिक सर्वेंट्स के पीछे भूत की तरह लगना, तभी हमारा देश, तभी हमारा राष्ट्र विकसित हो पाएगा. देखिए, public representatives have to beg, borrow, and steal the votes. They have to be in constantly in a different spectrum altogether. They are doing their level best, and they will be keep on doing with whatever public pressure is out there. But kuch pressure has to be put on these public servants who are tenured lots, who have all kind of pay, perks, power. They are not in a unstable kind of an equilibrium. तो जो baseline public services हैं, they have to provide. And until unless you will start using it, जैसे सॉफ्टवेयर में होता है, you have to find out the bugs, कि कहाँ गड़बड़ है, कहाँ पे गैप है. There are, I can enumerate you once you join this creative resistance fellowship. We will as a part of it, आपको कहीं भी एक unreformed kind of a problem है, we will help you, we will handhold you how to write it, how to defend it, and we have a battery of lawyers, battery of senior people. And हमारा मकसद कोई फसाद खड़ा करना नहीं है. We are not here for any political change, for that matter. We are not political activists, but we are developmental activists. Whosoever party, whosoever leader is out there, we respect that, because every political party and every political leader has to work under the four corners of the constitutional designs. So that is where we stop. But we say that after that, once the reins of power are in the hands of someone, these smaller issues, कहीं पे पेड़ कट रहा है गलत तरीके से, माफिया काट रहा है, being careful, but then you have to report it across to the police officers, for that matter. And that is why technology comes into play, because no local thanedar or no local SHO has the power now to really persecute you in any fashion or the other. And somewhere or the other, your parents are also connected, you are also in the larger society. So instead of becoming apathetic on one extreme end, or becoming a victim of the system, I think constitutional creative resistance says that we will take our own steps as an enlightened, as an empowered citizen. Because what is the purpose of education after all? We have to put our learnings, our knowledge into action, and somewhere or the other, our individual lives are fine, but then the collective ecosystem, it defines it all in a very big way. So, friends, this was all as a primer for Mahatma Gandhi. Pietermaritzburg Creative Resistance. We would invite you to join in as a fellow. The details of it we will be putting up on our website, on our web portal. And this session is primarily for the faculty coordinators कि जिन बच्चों के अंदर एक कम्युनिटी स्पिरिट, एक लार्जर गवर्नमेंट की स्पिरिट, they want to, they have a kind of an activism is nothing wrong for that matter. It is something you bring about a change somewhere or the other, and it is not just we would be bringing you to another session that not every one of us can really become an IAS officer, the Indian Administrative Service officer, but each one of us can truly become an Indian Activist Service officer, a self ordained IAS. Because activism is something, if I'm seeing something wrong, the thousands and lakhs of eyes and ears and our enlightened minds, I think we can surely inform the larger public opinion and the authorities who are in a seat of power. कहीं पे garbage overflow हो रहा है. What is the harm in notifying to the concerned municipal authority out there? If they receive a tip for that matter, they are constitutionally obligated to resolve it across. And that is how sturdy systems come into play. So at least हम जो basic municipal level के issues हैं, I'm not saying you go into a kind of a drug lord kind of a thing or risky part of it all which is shown in the Bollywood movies. अपनी सीमाएं आप लोग निर्धारित करके रखिए, अपने माता पिता को उसमें इन्वॉल्व कर के रखिए कि what is safe and what is not safe. Discuss it with your teachers. Each person has got a kind of a tolerance limit or something like that. So I think these are very subjective issues which we'll be covering on a case by case manner, and we can bring about a lot of change. सब कुछ पॉलिटिकल चेंज नहीं होता, सब कुछ एक मूलभूत चेंज कभी भी नहीं होता. We all understand that there is a fractional distillation even of the crude oil. It just doesn't become an ATF, air turbine fuel, in one go. There is a kerosene, there is a diesel, there is a petrol. So a collective life is a different order altogether. So, friends, I think this is all we would really like to address. Dr. Surbi, you have been a very apt listener. I would like to bring you in as the president of Rethink India Institute. How do you see this initiative empowering our young learners and the entire spectrum? Because as yesterday, day before, when we were commemorating the World Environment Day, and we were seeing a lot of change being brought about by school sanctuaries, campus sanctuaries in the field of environmentalism. So, some of your words and some of your questions, if you have any.
So, I would like to come in here and, urge our student, our community, our youth, especially, to understand that you are you are in a democracy, and every problem has a solution to it. The solution might take time. सत्य को संघर्ष करना पड़ सकता है, बट एंड्योरेंस, सहन शक्ति एंड रेजिलियंस, संकल्प, रेजिलियंस, एंड्योरेंस, this is very important. You will attain your goal, what you want to achieve, but you must have endurance, willpower, and resilience. And जैसे कहते हैं, the Ganges is making its way from the mool to the ocean. The river makes its way forcefully, and where does not find a way, carves it around, twists it around, but does reach its end goal, the Sagar. Similarly, we have to understand, we have to learn from Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi ji that the way he configured, the way he commanded the Indian freedom movement, we call him Rashtrapita, and he's the father of the Indian nation. तो वो जो उनको उपाधि मिली, it was his lifetime saga, it was his lifetime dedication. So let us not get fettered, let us not get deterred, let us not get crumbled by any obstacle which comes your way. And if it is coming from the Raj Tantra, that is from the government, or from the any loophole, lacuna, see, India is a developing nation. We are trying to involve the best practices, the best protocols, the best laws, the regulations. But somewhere there might be, a slip between the cup and the lip, a stitch in time, a stitch is missing. Who will identify the missing stitch? If you will not raise your voice, if you will not commune to the authorities, communicate to the authorities, how will they come to know? One layer might be faulty. The other layer, if it's not getting to know, how will the problem get redressed? More people like you would suffer. So this is the essence, the essential spirit of creative resistance. Do not get deterred. Continue like a determined rock, like Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi ji, like Mahatma Gandhi ji. We have to have determination. And I tell you, from the NEET example, when the NEET exam, almost every third year, there is a leak in the paper. It is getting repeated. There is some scam or the other in the competitive exams. Some suicides are happening. Mental health, the very सीक्रेट बिहाइंड मेंटल हेल्थ, और जिसे हम कहते हैं मानसिक दक्षता, is willpower, is determination, and is the strong belief in yourself, your destiny. You have to believe in yourself, in your destiny, in your niyati, and in your God, in your spiritual force. Because you see, if you are strong within yourself, emotionally, intellectually, socially, and spiritually, and if you have that resolve, there is nothing which will fall short, nothing which will not happen. With these words, I would like to say that creative resistance is important to be indoctrinated in every field of our life, even from the household, the house lady, the housewife, the mother who's cooking in the kitchen. She also does creative resistance. If some recipe goes wrong, she tweaks it, but delivers that lovely food, that lovely meal. So creative resistance is there in every field in your life. Adopt it and be a resolute citizen.
And friends, as Dr. Surbi rightly said that I tell you that it all starts from the household. For example, the solid waste management rules for the year 2026 have been notified on 1st of April. It talks about segregation of waste at the source, and that is the core of it all. On environment day, we were just discussing about हम लोग leaps of garbage और landfills की बात करते हैं. We lament about it, but what we are actually doing it at our own household level. Are we
Absolutely.
segregating the kitchen waste? For example, in our household, we have a tripartite kind of a regime. The first level is the Gaya Maya. Whatever the fruit waste, vegetable, it is not waste which can be eaten by the animals. So we have our Didi who brings in water, our milk in a kind of a can. So we do away with the polythene wraps. So Gaya Maya waste goes to the Gaya Maya the very day, the fresh part of it all. Because in the landfills we see that we mix all kind of waste in one go, and then
Absolutely.
what kind of an inhumane practice is that some of our brethren have to really segregate it when it stinks, when it deteriorates over there. We live in colonies. We have so much of real estate all around us. So whatever waste which cannot be fed to the animals, cow or dog or anyone, that can be decomposed right at the locality level. So that is Dharti Maya. We just enrich also, not just by the petro fertilizers from the Middle East, but through our own organic waste. And then Kabadi Bhaiya, the kind of plastic wrappings, the cardboards from our e-commerce portals, the metal glass, it is reducing, but that can be responsibly discarded by calling the Kabadi Bhaiya, or newer and newer mechanisms are coming over there. But it all requires a creative resistance right at the family level, as Dr. Surbi said. Small interventions build up a grand nation. We have a lot of competitions across. Oh, if I were the Prime Minister of India, I think this is a futile exercise. Anyone can become the Prime Minister of India, doesn't matter, until or unless each one of the prime minions, we are prime minions, we are the citizens of the country, if we take our own rights and responsibilities in tandem. भैया सड़क पे अगर हम ट्रैफिक पे जा रहे हैं, we don't need to honk unnecessarily. We have to follow the lane discipline. And if someone is breaking the discipline, it is also again our duty to report that person to the authorities. You have to become a citizen journalist, a kind of a creative resistance fellow. Yes, beyond a while, obviously, we should not go because our personal security gets threatened. But then to certain smaller level, because the small bubbles, small sparks, it's like the Giriraj Govardhan. When Giriraj Govardhan, the bridge has to be saved. It was Krishna who lifted off Giri Govardhana. But then other Gopagwalas, they did not sit back. They put up their own lathi in solidarity. Arey, hamari lathi jitni hai, we will work upon it. Like the Rama Setu, the bigger Vanaras were doing it across, but even a small squirrel, it came, oh, let me also contribute. So, national transformation, national consolidation, it all comes from each one of us, from our municipal zones, from our RWAs, to the larger constituents for that matter. Merely voting is not enough. We have to keep on constantly participating in our governance systems, shedding of fears. Yes, the colonial remnants are there. We might have to face some wrath of the system per se, but then in a kind of an enlightened democracy, enlightened systems, we are moving forward. If we play our cards well, if we are resolute, if we bring each, don't do anything in an impulse. Impulsive reactions are never good. With due planning, with due consultations, create a kind of a group, and that is where we are asking the schools to create creative resistance cells in the campus. Students who are facing a lot of challenges here, there, everywhere, they should discuss in a kind of a creative resistance hour, say once a week or once a month, whatever time allows in one of the activity framework. The enlightened teacher of civics or political science, she can come, she can understand, she can weigh in the kind of challenges which are out there and pick up say 5, 10, 15 of them and give each of the members a kind of a duty key. Okay, you file it on your name or on the cell's name, so that individual and collective initiative gets over there. There are parents who are lawyers, accomplished lawyers, both civil and criminal. They can be consulted upon. And the core thing what we say is that let's not lose hope. When we were under the yoke of the British Empire, when we were just slaves of the colonial interest, a kind of a new colonialism is looming large over the country. And until or unless we individuals really make a point to do our bit, I think a diverse and such a vast nation, uh, it's nice to view patriotic movies like Dhurandhar and all kind of a geostrategic spy films and all. But then we are all defenders of dharma. We are all defenders of this Sanatani Bharatiya Republic. So, welcome, friends, to this Das Karamchand Gandhi Pietermaritzburg Creative Resistance Fellowship. It's a continuous process. We invite you to be a part of this lovely journey, and the idea is to bring constitutional doctrine into practice, civics into action, and somewhere or the other, each one of us has got an itch to accentuate some positive, some constructive change here and there. So, with this invitation, we wrap up this session.